Hey game devs, Black Friday is here and Unity's finally back with their doorbusters. You can get 95% off a ton of assets, and there's also a bunch of stuff 50 and 70% off. But in this video, I'm going to share with you the best deals where you can just save a ton of money. I also put them all onto a page that's linked in the description and the pinned comment, so you can get to them quickly. Just ask that you hit the thumbs up button before you go check that out. Since I love card games, you can probably tell from the background, I want to start with CCG Kit. It lets you build single player and multiplayer card games with server authoritative play, customize your own cards, and really make your own card game with pretty much no code and no setup. It's a really interesting kit, and for 95% off at $10, it's a great deal. If you prefer to shoot stuff, there's FS Shooter System, which is a tactical FPS and third-person shooter setup that has a bunch of weapon systems and looks really interesting. Or if you want to do multiplayer, there's MFPS 2.0, which ties in with Photon and lets you build a multiplayer shooter right out of the box. Both of these will be available for about $3. If you prefer something slower like an RPG, the RPG Creation Kit will let you build out a giant world with all the systems that you would expect, like quests, crafting, shops, AI, persistence, and everything else. Or if you like 2D, there's also the 2D action RPG engine, Mithril 2D. The last full kit type is the Infinite Runner Engine 3D, and it's not a genre that I really like to play or build, but at 95% off of $300, it's still a great deal for anybody who's looking to build that kind of game for mobile. Now we'll get into characters. There are three that are pretty similar. There's a Dress Up Maids pack, there's a Fantasy Asian Girls collection, and a Fantasy Medieval Girls collection. All of these have a bunch of characters with a bunch of customization that you can use in whatever type of game you want. Some of the existing kits like that shooter or the RPG one, or one that I'm going to get into a little bit later. These are all pretty big, pricey packs, so getting them at 95% off is definitely worth checking out. If you want to build something that looks more like a survival game, the Adventure Character Pack, Survival, Shooter, RPG series, I don't know, it's got a big long name. Looks really cool though. It's got a couple characters that I think are a little bit different style than what we just showed, or you could jump over to the Cyberpunk Street Fighter, which is kind of a futuristic-y set of characters that I think would also look great in different types of RPGs. It all comes down to really what kind of game you want and what kind of art style you're looking for. If you're building an RPG or an adventure or shooting game, you're probably going to want bad guys too, and there are three big packs for that. There's a Sci-Fi Boss Pack, which has some cool robotic looking guys. There's the Stylized Fantasy Enemy Bundle from Enhanced Studios, which looks kind of, really reminds me of World of Warcraft style. It's a pretty interesting look. And of course my favorite's the Protofactor one. It's Monsters Full Pack Volume 2. It's just full of a bunch of really cool monsters with awesome custom animations. So they're all worth checking out. They're all, again, very high priced, so 95% off is an amazing deal. You definitely want to check them out. Again, I'll link them down below, and let me know which of the character packs you're most interested in. I'm really curious. Is it the same one that I like the most, or is it one of the others? Oh, and there's one more I almost missed that you're not going to want to miss. It's the MMORPG Warriors bundle. It's again a set of fantasy characters full of animations and customizations with facial animations and everything else. It looks really cool, especially if you want to build that kind of fantasy style MMO or just single player RPG. There are also 5 environment bundles that are full of different environments that you can grab for your game. One of them is from this single publisher, the Nature Worlds bundle, which looks really customizable. You can change the colors and look and feel of a bunch of different nature areas. There's also a Stylized Nature and Environment Megapack, which looks somewhat similar, but a little bit different and heavily optimized. And then there are 4 more from the same studio. There's a Cyberpunk Victorian Environment bundle full of different environments that match that. Another Cyberpunk bundle that's even bigger. It's almost $600, so huge savings at 95% off. There's a Fantasy Soulslike environment bundle with a couple different fantasy Souls-like environments. And then the Cosmonova one, which kind of looks like a sci-fi-ish, futuristic, dystopian, but also not all dystopian type of environment setup. These ones are great. They're always a good deal full of different environment pieces that you can use to build out a world or just use the pre-existing ones. There's definitely an option for pretty much any kind of game that you want to build though. And if you're building some sort of a detective style game or something based in the 50s in New York City, there's also this really interesting 1950s New York City environment pack that has building interiors and characters. It looks really cool and probably the most unique of all of them that I saw today. There are two UI kits, one a classic RPG UI that's only 50 cents, crazy deal, looks kind of like your standard RPG that you would expect to see, or there's the Fantasy RPG GUI Pro one that's from Layer Lab. I've used this a bunch of times. It looks really cool, kind of more mobile-y, but it's the style that I really like. Now we'll go on to some of the more advanced tools. FinPossible's got the F-Texture tools, which makes it so you can act like you're an artist, making tiles texturable or swapping colors easily inside the editor. I always have a hard time with this, so this is a great tool to try out and make that process just a bit easier, especially if you don't like working in Photoshop or other image editing tools, which I generally hate. RPG Motion Master is a pack of 3,000 animations for female characters for RPGs. So if you're building an RPG and you want to save a ton of money on a set of animations that you can use for all different types of things, check it out. And then Speed Tutor, who's a great YouTuber, you should go check out his channel and subscribe to it. He has the GrabMaster Modular Grabbable Physics Toolkit, which lets you do grabbing stuff, picking it up and moving it, with different weights for objects that act right and pressure pads and a couple other interesting features. There's also a new save system for Unity that I haven't tried yet. It's called Save for Unity Complete. It looks like it's a fast version of what I used to use before that quickly serializes everything to binary and looks very simple to use. I'm excited to try this one out and see just how well it works. It's relatively high priced though, so getting it at 95% off is going to make it worthwhile. Next up on my list is a set of songs or music that you can use for your game, especially if you're building a fantasy game. It's got about 3 hours worth of music. It's the Kingdom of Light Premium Edition. And then finally, we've got two VR things that I wanted to talk about. There's a VR DJ controller, which looks like basically a cool little DJ game. If you want to build something like that, it could be a really interesting start. If you want to build something kind of loosely tied to that, it could also probably work well as a good starting point. And then there's the FM remote desktop, which I thought was really interesting, but it does require another asset that's also on Black Friday sale, just not one of the Black Friday 95% off deals. So if you want to do a remote desktop in VR, check this one out. It looks like there's also a newer version. I'm not sure what the differences are. So if you happen to know, please drop those down below. That's it for the list of doorbusters. Again, I'll link them all down below and I'll put up a page with all of them with quick descriptions so you can go check them out. If you grab any, please comment, let me know which ones you got. And if you see anything else that's a flash deal or another Black Friday deal that you think should be talked about or shared with everybody else, please share that down below too so everybody can go check it out. There are hundreds of things on the sale, not just these ones that are 95% off. So it's worth checking and just scrolling through and looking at everything there. Just make sure you use the link down below and don't forget to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe. All right, thanks. See you in the next video.